pasan los años, ayer éramos niños, mami y papi luchaban por nuestro porvenir. Tú cuidabas de mí, hoy yo velo por ti. Hermanita, te adoro, sé que no eres feliz.
First, I would like to start by giving us each other a round of applause because today is the Women International Day. So let's do it. Let's recognize the fact that we are here today, right now, celebrating one of the multiple days that we have to enjoy life and to prove daily that we are part of this universe, and that universe is part of us. So let's do that. Well, today I'm here to talk about the case of Dominican women, but you will find that these stories that I'm going to tell you are very much related to many of you and many other women around the globe. I was inspired to read and to think and to write about this topic, Dominican women breaking patterns, after reading a very interesting book, Miradas Desencadenantes. It's a feminist work put together by Ginetta Candelario, that is a sociologist at Smith College, and also a lot of other feminists from Latin America, including Ochi Curiel and many others. Also, I was inspired by the work of Wilma Dunaway, and because of these women, I was able to, and their work, I was able to explore a different side of Dominican women that I have never seen before. At least I was not aware of it, because that's what happened. We see it, but we're not aware of it, and we don't know exactly what it means. Okay? So first, I'm going to tell you that Dominican women are very strong women, and they have proved it through history. Okay? Why? Probably some of you are asking, why is this talk about Dominican women? Well, because in the United States, there is a huge population of Dominican women and Dominican men. We joke around saying that if all of the immigrants, Dominican immigrants around the globe go back to the island, it may sink. It's how many. So we're gonna start with a short clip about Dominican, to show you around the location, geographic location, and a little collage that I created with pictures of my dear women in my family. As you know, Dominicans, we love music, so bachata is very well known in the United States. That's my grandmother.
Como pasan los años, ayer éramos niños, mami y papi luchaban por nuestro porvenir. Tú cuidabas de mí, hoy yo velo por ti. Hermanita, te adoro,
this is a way of me thanking them. They're not here right now, but I know they helped to shape who I am today. All these women.
Otro golpe en la cara, esto es cada semana. Y como siempre una excusa que tú ganas al fin. Él se burle de ti, pero ¿qué hago yo aquí? Aunque quiero ayudarte, tú lo aceptas.
Why is she saying sugar daddy is not needed? Or I'm going to explain. That was sugar daddy was the best translation that I came up with to talk about a concept in the Dominican Republic, or even the Caribbean and the rest of Latin America. We call it a different way. A man, we say, el hombre que te mantenga, el temba, el chulo, el viejo, so many terms. I'm going to explain that before I start. What do I mean by sugar daddy? I mean not just a man. If you Wikipedia or you Google sugar daddy, you will see there is a candy, yes, but also it relates or refers to a man that is either wealthy or older than the sugar babe, that's how they call it, women, that it just takes pleasure on helping them out with housing, with food, with any luxury things that they want. And in return, women have to give sexual favors, okay? So in the Dominican Republic, yes, that is part of it, but there is another side to it. that the sugar daddy can also be an uncle, a friend of the family. It could be a family member. That's normal. Why? Well, because I'm talking today about the Dominican women with the low social economic status. Okay, those women that have no way to get an education, women that are left out of the system. And why am I talking about those women? Well, because I want to tell you that I am one of those women. I come from the north side of the island, zone that we call Cibao, and I grew up in a barrio, poor neighborhood, in Santo Domingo. So I have the insight. I grew up in the Dominican Republic knowing very well what my social economic status was. I was poor, and not the poor that have clothing and good shoes and money to go eat all the time. No, those poor people that have absolutely nothing, that are waiting day by day for somebody to give something to them. And yet, I'm here today talking to you. So I'm going to tell you a little bit through the conversation how that happened, okay? Well, how that happened. A lot of these women they have been brainwashed by society that the only way they can survive is by pleasing men or being submissive to men. So in our tradition, it's very well known that a woman that does not marry or doesn't live with a man, it doesn't achieve anything in life. Education, it's secondary. And today we're having a big problem in Dominican Republic with education because the society, the people are not giving it its importance. And that's one of the, that creates a lot of ignorance. And women are victims of that. But yet, they are warriors. We are warriors. We fight through that ignorance. And we create our own patterns and our own ways and strategies to be a strong and very talented and smart and beautiful women. And there is an article by Dora Davila. I'm going to translate the title. She titled is Families, Women, Servants, Invisibilities Visible in the Historical Colonial Dominican Colonial Times. And what she does, she explains here how even through the colonial times, she found that many Dominicans, this is going through archives, that many women were not really living in the private of a home. They were just not like the housewife that we tend to believe they are. For example, in the 19th century, as you may know, there was a huge, the slavery system. There was a slavery and a lot of trafficking with slaves. Well, guess what? Women, especially Dominican women, were involved in that too. They were selling and buying slaves. They were selling and buying land. They were selling and buying products and very much involved in society, just like men. For example, I will read to you something. It says, Juana Chavez sold to Francisco Jimenez a portion of a land in a cost of Yeguada. So women were also doing business with men, okay? Leonor de San Pedro sold to Captain Juan de Villa a piece of land in Mata de Santiago. Micaela de Altagracia bought a large portion of land from Ignacio Mejia del Castillo. And when it comes to the slavery business, she goes, Josefa Velázquez, neighbor of the city of Santo Domingo and a resident of Ayaguana, sold to Micaela Francisca a Negro Congo named Jose Rojas, 35 years old, for 280 pesos. Not only that, women have the power to also work and deal with the letters of freedom for slaves, meaning they have the authority to give the freedom to their slaves, enslaved people within the household. For example, it goes in 1694, Emiliana Cepeda granted a freedom letter in favor of Juan Lorenzo. In 1768, Maria Loches granted a freedom letter to Anastasio Rodriguez de color pardo. 1770, Faustina Pantaleon Sanchez granted a freedom letter to her 2-year-old slave, Paula, and to the child's mother, Crispina, for being a good slave, serving a companion in her old age with happiness, love, kindness, and respect. Again, this is just through the colonial times. We can see that women were actively present. I'm not too sure about the socio-economic status of these women, but it's relevant to believe and to acknowledge that they were very active. Why is it important? Because of what I'm going to say later on. You know, well, Ginetta Candelario also, in her work, shows that women at the end of the 19th century and during the 20th century were very part of feminism and the international feminism. She talks about all the conferences that women were able to go to and represent the island. And again, these are elite women, women that at the end of the 19th century already had a conscience of the need of education, for the Dominican women. So for example, Salomé de Ureñas Enriquez created an institute for women to educate women in the social sciences. In the sciences, she was very passionate about this idea because according to her, women are the ones responsible for the education of our children, boys and girls. And if mothers receive an education, a good education to promote a good nation, then it's the power of women who's going to have the power of the nation. Also, Mercedes Mota represented the Dominican Republic back in 1901 in the Pan American Exposition for the International Council of Women here in New York. I'm talking about back in long time ago. Today, I want to emphasize that I came to New York when I was 18. I didn't speak the language. English was not taught in my school, so I really didn't learn it. So I was privileged to go within a scholarship to a semi-private school. So I was able to get an education because I had a grandmother that was very strong figure in the community that saw that I had a talent. She always used to say that I had a talent, that I was worth it for her to invest in my education. So she sent me to school. That was an exception because my older brother didn't get to finish school, and he was the man of the household. My younger brother didn't finish. My sister almost did, but I did. They made sure that I did. My grandmother was a strong role model in my life and still is. My aunts, they were all single mothers. I always saw that how come there's so many women in the house? And then because of that, I learned that Dominicans have different ways of living. So what do Dominicans do in a patriarchal household, in a patriarchal society, where men tells you what to wear, what to do, how to talk, how to sit, how to eat, who to marry if you get to that age of 15, it's changing. But it's very strict. It was very strict. Well, when the men go away, because they usually go to provide, because that's their role in our community, in our culture, women tend to gather each other, to create, to socialize. But at the same time, when they're doing the socialization, what I'm calling the grouping, they will exchange ideas. They will exchange products. They will exchange what you can even imagine, clothing. They will exchange gossip. They will exchange anything you can possibly imagine. So you probably know, or if you don't know, you should know, that the Dominican women are very well known today for being great hair stylists. So salons, the Dominican salon in Washington Heights, as well as in Washington, D.C., and all over Providence, and here in Massachusetts, especially in Holyoke, all those salons, Dominican salon, very famous because Dominican women know how to work their hair. And Ginetta Candelario has a book about all that, It calls Black Behind the Ears, where she explains all about Dominican salons and what that space provides to Dominican women. See, most American women go to the salon to get their hair straight or to get their hair washed or to get a haircut. When we go to a salon, this is not just a space to get myself pampered. No, it's a space where we create a community. It's a space where we have a voice. A lot of mothers in their households, they don't have a voice. You know, the man is the one who tells what is going to be happen with their children, what is going to happen to the money, what is going to happen to the house, what is going to be done every day. So when these women are gathering in the backyard, washing each other's hair, doing their manicure, they also exchanging ideas. Like, for example, the streets need to be fixed. We need a new school. What are we going to do about the electricity problem? What are we going to do about the next, one of the biggest problems, water, tap water? How are we going to fix the need of tap water? So every time they had the opportunity and to create a committee, a formal gathering to discuss these issues, women usually tend to go to the men and say, oh, these are the issues, these are the problems, but you have the voice to fix it. And they're not doing it wrong. When you are living in a nation that is patriarchal, that men are the ones that have the decision, make the decision for everything, including the president of the country, we know that only a man is going to be heard. The majority of Dominican women will tell you that. That is a reality. However, things are changing. Thank God, things are changing. Slowly, but they are changing. Women today, we actually have a voice. But again, it's not that easy. You have to struggle. That's why, you know, we have to hustle. We have to do so many difficult things. We have to, in my case, you have to just leave the country. You have to migrate, work in different fields, leave your family, whatever it takes in order to liberate yourself from that patriarchal rules. And one of those, something that I think it has, that proved to me that things are changing, it's a law that the government passed in 2005 that against the trafficking of women in the Caribbean and also in European countries. It's for the first time, something that has been happening for centuries, finally a lot of NGOs organized by women and women dedicated to the rescue of those women abroad, Dominican women abroad that were suffering from so many different things that you don't want to discuss today, but this proved to you that at least the voice is being heard. That a lot of Dominican women are moving, especially in an INTEC. It's a college that is providing this space, organizing these formal ways for Dominican women to be heard in the communities. So how that happened? Well, women volunteer to go to communities and gather data and gather with these small committees of women to help each other. And what I have seen is that it's something that Dominicans do over there in the island, but they also, when they travel abroad, let's say to New York, that's a very popular place to travel, the Dominicans don't just leave alone what they have learned, the way of living that they have learned. What happened? That, I think, is one of the reasons why Dominican women are so popular in hair salons today. Well, they find a way to create their own businesses, little by little. First, by babysitting, because that's just something that it's very needed in New York City. Babysitting, working in factories, also by working in supermarkets. Then once they get to know people, and more Dominican women, especially in Washington Heights, they kind of, again, group each other and start sharing ideas on how we can have our own company, how we can have our own money. You have to work for it, but you can. I mean, when I was 18, I was babysitting, I was housekeeping, and I was working in a factory. and I used to pay so much money for rent, and it was hardly enough for food. And I said, what is going to happen to me? Well, get another job. So I got another job. And again, it's trying for me. I mean, there was easy ways. I'm not going to lie to you. There were many people that came up to me, especially older Dominican women, and said, but you're so young. You're so beautiful. Get a gringo that supports you. They will do anything for you. Those gringos, they love Dominican women. And I said, really? I remember when I first decided to go to ESL classes, the girls at the supermarket used to say, why? Don't learn English. You don't need to. We live in Washington Heights. Everyone here speaks Spanish. No one needs English. And I say, well, I need to meet someone that goes to college because I came here and I don't want to work at a factory anymore. I want to go to college because I want to become an engineer. In my heart, I grew up believing that I can be so much. You know, I was really blessed by having a grandmother. I didn't grow up with my mother, by the way. It was with my grandmother, and she showed me so much strength. She never knew how to read or write. She never knew how to give a speech like today. I'm giving it to you. But she knew how to deal with people. She was a people person. Everyone loved her, respected her. And there were some values that she taught me that I couldn't ever get myself to use a man for money. I just couldn't. And I couldn't give up because I know there were people behind me back home that needed my help as well. So you can't just back down and say, I give up. At least I couldn't do it. And because of that, I realized, you know, there are many women doing the same thing I'm doing. So we should let other people know that we're not all about stereotypes. We also break patterns. We also do all the things. And that's why I'm here today, to explain to you that even though in our Dominican community and education is not valued as much as we want to, there are some of us that still do. And whatever it takes, we do. Even if I used to babysit 5 children in one house, and my girlfriends used to call me and say, let's hang out. And I'm like, no, I'm babysitting. I love children, and that's something that I enjoy doing, taking care of children. And it wasn't a hard job. I want you to tell you that, yes, I have a lot to do, going to school full time and many jobs at the same time to pay tuition, but I was enjoying myself. I don't want you to think that the struggle, you can make it pleasurable. You can make it a good experience. And I can share with you that something that Dominicans do, that we create some kind of strategy on how to get money or how to help each other out, especially when it comes to other women. The majority of people that I have encountered in the United States that have helped me and motivated me are women. We have to look inside and see that we actually are valuable. Because sometimes that's what we need to do, just bring yourself up and appreciate who you are. Dominican women in these salons, these spaces that they gather, they create some kind of ideas on how to make money. For example, they have something they call SAN or Sociedad. What is that? Well, it's like when a Dominican woman plays the role of a treasurer for a committee. So she gathers money from everybody, and then every month or every week, depending on the time they want to prolong the money, one person will receive an amount of money, and then at the end, to pay for her service as a treasurer, she gets also the same amount as everybody else. So that's one way that they can make money. Another way is by selling merchandises. If you go to any of the salons, the owner always provides the opportunity for other women to go there and sell clothing, bags, perfumes, underwear, hats, jewelry. It's open, and the women that go to the salon looking for that a space of exchange, they know that and they expect it. So they have the money ready to help out those other women too. So I thought it was important to talk about that because it's not something that I have seen that happens in other culture or other traditions where women really help each other building this net. It's kind of like a fishing net where they create these little angles and attach to each other. Gossiping is big time, happens in all these spaces. Why? Because through gossip, people get to know information, especially women, that they don't or won't get at home because maybe they don't have a TV or they're not allowed to speak with the neighbor, or maybe they are prohibited to know anything. So they go into the salon and provides also this exchange of information, global information, what's happening. I remember one day I went to the salon in Holyoke and this lady talks about the Obama cell phone. Have you heard about the Obama cell phone? You have? I'm glad you do. Well, the Obama cell phone, it was the news to me. It's a free cell phone that the government's giving to low-income families so you can use it. And I'm like, I have no idea. Well, that's it. Also, women that are getting changes in healthcare, they go there and talk about it for their children education, the new things that happen in school, or even sometimes maternity. When it's a teenage pregnant in the house, who do we go to? What to do? The salon. They go there and they talk about it and look for solutions. What can we do to help such and such a person? Young or elderly, it doesn't matter. And that's something that I really enjoyed when I'm part of that space. Also, like I mentioned before, Dominicans have been educated, formal education, educated Dominicans have been able to create NGOs to help women all over Dominican Republic and all over New York and other sectors such as Rhode Island. So I wanted to really discuss that today because Dominican women deserve to be recognized as workers, as warriors, as smart. And I'm gonna tell you that I decided to come to Massachusetts, not because it's a beautiful valley, or not because it's during the summer it's very, colorful. It was because I got a scholarship to go to UMass. I got a scholarship and a fellowship to be able to study. And I'm mentioning that because a lot of Dominican women out there don't know that this is provided to them. They don't know, they take for granted that they are living in a country where women have a voice if they want to, where women can actually develop a self-respect, where women can actually get what they want to be, or be whatever they want to be. Because I'm telling you, I went to school, I started school late. I started school when I was 7 because there was no school, and still no school where I was born. In a little campo they call Sabana Rey. My mother still don't know how to read or write. And it's sad. And then the fact that I was able to get an education, the fact that I was able to say no to any sugar daddy, the fact that I was able to say no to any drugs, that's something that also is offered to women a lot. It's very impressive. And I have encountered other Dominican women and other women around the world that are the same, have the same passion for being themselves and stand for themselves. And that is something to value when it comes to talk about women in general. So when it comes to think about all the past, the present, and what is going to happen with women, I am very positive. I'm very optimistic that we women are going to keep fighting and going to keep working for the best of this universe. So let's play the video.
Not only the fact that my family was so crucial in terms of my own development and emphasizing education, and that's because my parents, like I said, they didn't complete their education. So for them, education was incredibly, incredibly valued. Seeing how difficult it was, for my parents when we were younger to really provide for us, you know, really made me want to continue with my education. Because, and also seeing a lot of things that happened with some of my friends with respects to men, you know, at a very young age, I was just like, I gotta finish my education. I gotta go as far as I can, because I can't, if I have kids, I can't depend on any man. That was very clear to me when I was very young. Knowing that even when people say you can't do it, that you can. That you can. You know? And doing it. Doing it.
We don't need us as a woman, we don't need a man to be who we want to be in the future. You just need, you only need to make a goal in life. Make a goal, think and ask yourself who you want to be and where you want to go, and you're able to do it. That's why when you come to my place, you not only see the woman's the world here, you also see the woman that came from New York to selling purse or perfumes, or in the weekends you're gonna see one or two women besides the regular employees to washing the hair, doing the rollers, cleaning the floor, because it's an opportunity for them to show themselves that they can work, that they don't need wait for nobody to have any money. And why I do that? Because I believe in opportunities, and more than that, I believe in the community. I believe that if we work together, we can make a difference. Maybe we don't change the whole world, but we change communities.
Parte de esta charla es demostrar cómo nosotras las mujeres dominicanas somos capaces de salir adelante sin la ayuda de un hombre. Yo soy un ejemplo viviente porque yo nunca tuve a mi padre, mi mamá nunca tuvo un hombre que la ayudara, y hoy en día yo soy lo que soy gracias a ella. Tengo una educación y pretendo ser una profesional, ser una madre de familias y salir adelante sin la ayuda de nadie, porque yo sé que con mi esfuerzo y mi dedicación yo no necesito un sostén. Yo me puedo sostener yo misma, y si en un día soy una madre soltera, tengo el ejemplo de mi mamá de que tú puedes si quieres, y tú puedes llegar donde quieras, solamente tienes que proponértelo y desear salir adelante, desear ser alguien en la vida. Mi mamá es mi inspiración. Para todas las mujeres dominicanas que hoy en día todavía tienen la mentalidad de que necesitan un hombre para sobrevivir, y que hoy en día le aguantan maltrato, golpes, humillaciones verbales a los hombres, psicológica, mi mensaje es que nosotras podemos por nosotras mismas, que nosotras no necesitamos un hombre para salir adelante, fuertes, luchadoras, y nosotras somos mujeres que podemos llegar donde querramos sin la ayuda de nadie. Tú no necesitas un hombre a tu lado para salir adelante, para criar a tus hijos, para ser una profesional, para vivir. Tú te tienes a ti y a tu autoestima como mujer, como luchadora, como guerrera. Así que debemos de salir adelante sin ayuda de nadie. Un hombre, un compañero tú no necesitas un maltratador, tú no necesitas un hombre que te pelee, que te humille, que te haga sentir al menos.
Having this topic about Dominican women and stereotypes, specifically Dominican women being a hustler or always getting sugar daddies to pay all their bills. I think, you know, we all straddle that line if we want to or not. I'm not gonna lie, I was on a quest, you know, to find a sugar daddy, at least for the summertime. As a joke, you know, you have it in the back of your mind, but it's hard, you know, it's very hard. I'm not gonna lie, it's very hard because you think you're gaining so much, but you lose so much at the same time. One, my approach wasn't right, you know, it just wasn't right at all. Guys that usually have all this money to get it, you know, they're probably the drug dealers, you know, that have fast money. But can you really talk to them? No. Do they really know what I'm talking about? They have no idea. So that never really worked for me because that would just be boring for me. So that's one reason why I don't try to pursue the sugar daddy ideal. To strive to their success using education, and that to me has been probably where I stand. I stand in my educational platform, and I won't have a man think that because he's throwing money at me or he has all these things he's offering count more than the education I have in here. And what I know that I'm capable of doing is going to be worth more than the $200 he can give me every week. That he thinks that's what it means to support a woman. For a lot of my friends, a lot of girls my age, 22, 23, once you let the money that a dude might be throwing at you not become the extra cash you have for the week and let it become the money that you actually waiting for, that's when you're gonna run into problems. Because you know what you gotta do? You gotta rub his back, and you gotta make him happy, and you gotta not say a certain thing because you want him to be cool with you. So you can ask him, "Oh, el dinero que tú me tenías que dar? Where's the money that you had to give me?" So you can get your money. So that bending, that little bend that you had to do in order to get that money that you needed, no, that's when you know you got a sugar daddy and you went in too deep. Experience that I've been mantenida, or I've been in a relationship with a man who basically supported me. He wanted me to do was to cook and clean, which I do not know how to do. I don't know how to cook at all either. So that's always a negative side when guys ask me, "Are you a true Dominican woman? Do you know how to cook?" No, I don't know how to cook. I think Dominican women in general, I think we're a contradiction. I really do think we're a contradiction. We're like a living contradiction between very strong women, but yet, we have we long for tradition at the same time. And I think the fact that we know that we're very strong, we know that we can do things on our own, yet we still want somebody who represents us. I don't know. I look at it this way. If I'm going to have somebody that's with me, he has to represent me as I represent him. But looking at the other way, when you do have a sugar daddy, you're kind of just like the trophy for that person. I also think that if other women, especially Dominican women, are pursuing this habit, it's just, it's counterproductive on what you want to do. If you really want to strive and excel in education and working and in your career, just attaching yourself to that one individual that's supposed to represent you is actually crippling yourself, and you're not going to be able to excel in what you want to do.
And we realize that there really can be a lot of pressures, both from Dominicans and from non-Dominicans, about where we're supposed to go, what are we supposed to be, what are we supposed to do. You could get the pressure from your family, or you can get the pressure from people who are stereotyping you. It's really important to listen to your own voice and to try to get some strength. And you really cannot do it completely alone, so we want you to know that you're not alone. There are other people who have probably been through the same thing. At the same time that you listen to your voice, it's really important for us to remember what it means to be Dominican, and what is the Dominican Republic, and what is life like there, the opportunities or lack of opportunities that we have had and that people still have. And if we could find a way to connect so that everybody's recognized and everybody's potential is fulfilled, I think that's a really beautiful vision. This message can inspire us to be ourselves at the same time that we're getting together so that everybody can be fulfilled.
I want you to keep in mind that idea of sugar daddy. Do we need a man to help us out? There are some women that are still doubting, especially some of my friends. They still confused about how you're gonna be who you wanna be without the help of a man, because today the man is the man who has the word. And at the same time, what do you think the complications are when women have that kind of mentality? What will happen? Can you see this same situation happening in other countries? Can you see that happening in the United States with other groups, with other ethnic groups as well? I don't know, any ideas? This is the time? Yes. Yes, the question is that the violence, so many violence against, domestic violence against women, if Dominican Republic has shelters, it doesn't work like here. See, they have support from other women, such as nuns at the church, maybe teachers that is if the woman comes forward and talks about her situation at home. And that only happens during their private committees together, and they try to either cover it up or try to find a way out. If they say the woman wants to get out of a marriage because of violence or because she's just not happy with it, it's tough. It's really difficult because of the economic status. She feels that she has to depend on that man to survive, and she doesn't do it. However, there are women that have stood up for themselves and left a marriage or a companionship, but it's difficult. And women down there, because they don't have the support that they need, they stay in like a sick cycle, repeating, yeah. But things are changing. I can tell you that because of those communities strong. They're building NGOs that are trying to bring those shelters into the larger communities. It's happening, but it's very slow because it's a country where they give more importance to tourism. They treat better a tourist than their own national person, citizen. The question is if the tradition of sugar daddy is something that we learned from during the colonial times or something that had to do with the tourism today. And it's a mix of it. It's a mix because the island being so colonial, being part of the French, part of the Spaniards, and so many people coming during the World War II from Germany and Italy and everywhere, even China, Philippines, you got everything there. People with higher economic status inside the island are not going to pursue a relationship with a poor person or a poor woman. It just hardly ever happens. That's why the Mexicans are so famous with the soap opera, because always, the poor girl gets to marry a rich guy. No. However, because of the tourism nowadays, Dominican Republic today is well known for tourism. You probably know somebody that went on spring break, a family that went for a summer vacation. That's how you got to know Dominican Republic, to the gaze of tourism. Well, a lot of men from the United States, people I respected, have come to me and said, Dominican Republic is the best. I went to this resort in Puerto Plata where you can have sex with 3 women at the same time. And they love it. They treat you like a king. So everyone has to come with me. Look at the guys. They're like, yes. So women are working today for the tourism by getting a full-time job at a hotel, and it's service that the hotel provides. 1 or 2, 3 in the menu, 4. Yes, it's very sad, but at the same time, these women have made the decision that they want to work, that they want to earn some money to raise their children, to go to school, and it's the way it is. So the sugar daddy is an idea that any young girl is having since the age of 12, where she's waiting for that gringo, yes, you, to go down there, meet her, and take her, because the law also provides that kind of a setting. You can, an American man can go there, marry a Dominican woman, and in 3 months she can be right here. You can get married and bring your Dominican prince, or the Dominican, because women are doing it too. This is not strictly to women down there. Men in the Dominican Republic are also waiting for the woman to come and rescue them. It's happening, it's just the way it is. Dominicans are a contradiction. We have these talented, wealthy Dominicans that have the power to actually, do something for themselves, but yet they rather get married with a politician. They rather get married with a European or an American that can give her a higher position in the pyramid of wealth. But there are exceptions. There are exceptions of women that have taken the role of, I will say, educators. There was a Peggy Gomez. She's the wife or widow of Peña Gomez, a politician that died a few years ago. She created different programs for young women and for any age women to educate themselves with sciences. And I am here, back in 1992, back there, I took one of those courses that she was offering in her programs. I was accounting. So I became an accountant. I interested in accounting because of that program. So I was able to learn. I mean, I was good learning, but the next question was, can you get a job? No. You might have to sleep with somebody to get to a secretary office job. You know, here, nobody wants to be a secretary. Over there, a lot of people want to get a job. It doesn't matter what. So also the salary is very low. But women do it. If you get the opportunity to just get out of your house, to make your own money, to buy your own shoes, to get your hair done if you want to once in a while, to buy a gift to your child, to send your children to school, they do it. They work at factories, very low pay. They work in places that none of us here want to work. But they do it because they having now the opportunity to actually work outside their household, in the street of their neighborhood. Also to meet other people. They do it to socialize as well, to get to see what's there, what else out there. Excellent question when it comes to education, because yes, the government has some money to provide to the citizens of the country, but who gets that money?
The young man.
The young man, talented, or the young woman that's wealthy, that can travel, so they give, for example, in UMass, Amherst, they have in the engineering section, they have a scholarship for Dominicans and Puerto Ricans, the Caribbean sector, and who gets it? The rich people in Santiago, the sons and daughters of the professors from La Ucamaima, which is a private college. You got people from La UNFU, which is a private university in Santo Domingo. So who gets them? Privileged people get this privilege to come to the United States and actually get an education at that level. Yeah, I'm telling you, I am some rare thing. You will not find it very often. But yes, I did my research and I have found some people that are in the same position as me, that really breaking patterns and really changing ways of how we live as Dominicans. NGO called Consola, and is organized or put together by a Dominican woman who had a PhD on sciences. And just like me, she realized she had to do something about education in DR. And she's on her, I think she's late 40s now, late 40s. And she decided to do that. So she created an NGO that teaches kids from low-income households. But I was invited to go because I called her to see if I can, what I can do to create my own NGO in DR for education. And then she said, yeah. So yes, part of the NGO is to write grants so we can get money for supplies, for food, because the children stay, in the Dominican Republic, education is divided through the day. It's like there's a section in the morning, a section in the afternoon, and a section at night for adults. This one is just for kids, not adults, but yeah, they get a scholarship. You look it up, it's Consola, C-O-N-S-O-L-A, Consola. And it's specifically about science, math and science, because education is really bad, but when it comes to science, it's even worse. So we're trying to promote that. She's asking me what is the methods of birth control in the Dominican Republic and the laws of abortion, right? Huh? How it's viewed. 99% of the Dominicans will tell you they are Catholic. Roman Catholics, very conservative. But the truth of the matter is that since I'm very little, probably very little, I remember listening to women talking in this grouping gathering about abortion. And I know remedies, because you know, women create those remedies at the house, in the kitchen. I know how to make remedies to provoke an abortion. So this is something that Dominican women maybe are not openly talking about. But I'm 34 years old, and I remember knowing very well what an abortion was since I was very little. Why? Because sexual education, it's something that we talk about all the time. We are very perverse in that sense, because sex talk happens daily, constantly, during the day. So it's like sex, it's not a taboo. People have sex, and then there are consequences for sex. However, birth control, I never heard about that until I came to the United States. Never heard of it. Didn't even know it existed. Condom? What is that? I realized when I was 22 that when I was around 7, I was playing with a balloon that I found in the backyard with my cousin, thinking that was a balloon. And I realized when I was 22, it was a condom. So no, there is not, in low-income households, there is no talk about birth control. In fact, what they do, things are changing, of course, but when the time I grew up there, women in this grouping will tell the neighbor, you are having too many kids. You can't afford to have those kids. How are you going to send them to school? How are you going to feed them? The most important thing, how can you feed them? You can't have that. So that last one, I'm going to go with you to the maternity clinic, and I'm going to tell the doctor to tie up your ovaries, and then you won't have any more. Okay. That was a decision that was made within women. And till today, a lot of studies about that by feminists in the Dominican Republic, women are getting a lot of support when it comes to maternity and birth control by other women. But if the government, the nation cares, 3 years ago, they made it illegal to have an abortion. So in Dominican Republic, no abortions legally. Sad. Very sad. So that women don't have that option according to the law. But like I said, people know how to do this. Women have been talking about this since the time of Adam and Eve. Okay, that's a very, very good question. And I was there in 2006 doing research, and I went to very poor neighborhoods where I saw men and women just sitting there waiting for something good to happen to them so they can get a job. Anything. They will do anything. And then I went to the beach and the touristic sites, and I saw a lot of Haitians. A lot of Haitians in Santo Domingo. I grew up in Santo Domingo, and I don't remember saying Haitians. And now it's like Haiti is, the Haitians are moving to Dominican Republic because of the tourism. So the artists, painters, and sculptors, they cross the border legally or illegally to sell in those tourism sites. Dominicans, they're doing it directly through administration. Last time I know, these tourism companies, big resorts, they hire people from the United States, Dominicans from New York. Like I am hireable. They will hire me because I speak many languages for me to direct the hotel. And then like plantation guys. And then I will be, treating the rest of the Dominicans for low income, paying them the minimum wage. But the positions are good positions. Not the educated Dominicans get it. Dominicans from outside, people from Europe that are studying in Europe or studying here and studying in Mexico, people that have education from, I don't know, we tend to value the foreign products and the foreign ideas. So, to be honest with you, a lot of Dominicans are not qualified with a formal education to work for tourism. In order to work for a hotel, first you need to know how to speak properly, and you need to know how to count. You need to know math, and that is not happening. No education, no possibilities. However, you will find Dominican men and women on the beach, probably providing to you to braid your hair or to take you out to sightseeing, things like that. But or big time prostitution. You know, teenagers are being prostituted, men and women, girls and boys. It doesn't matter, and that is one of the biggest problems because it's creating. I don't know if you're aware, but HIV in the Caribbean, especially in Haiti and Dominican Republic, the number is very high because of the tourism. So I don't know. My personal opinion, I don't think tourism is good for the island. It has destroyed the agriculture system that was built for many, many years, many centuries for us to survive. And now tourism is changing, shifting things around, and they are not beneficial to the Dominican citizens, especially when it comes to money. The economy survives by the money we send for, outsiders, people from other countries send to the family. That's how the country is surviving. But we are doing it. We're sending the money.
So if we could do a round of applause and thank our speakers.